Alright guys, welcome back to another rambling review. Today we are looking at Realm of Ink by Leap Studios, which is their first game and one in a genre that some might consider oversaturated. So making a strong first impression is going to be quite key here, and in my opinion they do make that strong first impression. I had quite a lot of fun with this game, so let's dive into it. Realm of Ink is a isometric roguelike similar to those like Hades. So if you've played Hades, this might be something you are interested in. This game has been in early access for about a year and a half now. I got a chance to play the beta build of the 1.0 release, which released at the same time as this video, so go check it out if you are interested afterwards. Game code was received for free by the developers, so please keep that in mind. So when I got my hands on this, I got a chance to play for about 3 hours. I wasn't planning to play on for 3 hours. I plan to play for about 2.5 hours, but this game has a lot to it, and it's also really fun, in my opinion. Somebody who quite enjoyed Hades. I've not yet had a chance to get to Hades 2, I know. Oh, I'll get to it one day. But as somebody who quite enjoyed Hades quite a bit, this game was really fun. So you get thrown into your first run pretty quickly, and mine went really well. I don't know if that was intentional because it seems to have been easier than subsequent runs, so I'm figuring that first run is purposely easier as a sort of tutorial. I still took a decent amount of time though, about 40 minutes, so keep that in mind if you're planning to pop up for a quick run. The first run will take a decent amount of time as you learn the mechanics of the game, learn the systems that it got, and that sort of thing. The first thing that's obviously going to pop out to you is the unique art style. This is sort of a ink art style. You've probably seen games that have done this before. Not too many games done it. Well, the first one that obviously pops to mind is Okami, which is kind of a similar style. This one seems to lean less into going full on the ink style to make sure they can still have those finer details in environment, character designs, that sort of thing. Whereas, like, you know, some other games, they go full in on the ink style, and you can't do the finer details if you go full in on it. But this game still looks absolutely gorgeous. The world design looks great. The character designs are great. There's plenty of different characters. You know, you got the pretty ladies. There's a dog. There's an old man. There's a ton of different designs, and it's not just leaning one way or the other. This art style really makes the game itself sort of stand out from the rest of the crowd as well, in what most people would say is a very filled genre. You know, there's a ton of roguelikes constantly coming out. Not all of them are these isometric roguelikes, but there's still a ton of roguelikes coming out, and a lot of roguelikes kind of want you to just play over and over again, because that's the whole point, right? So making yourself stand out from even just a visual standpoint really helps with that. In terms of gameplay, this builds upon gameplay you already know in similar games, right? The story isn't really the pull port of this, and I don't think the story is ever something that's going to pull somebody into a roguelike. It's basically there to serve as the reason why you're stuck in a loop, why you're fighting enemies, that sort of thing, and it does its job perfectly fine. You're not going to be crying at the end of this. You're not going to be like, man, the story is why I played it. But I still found myself paying attention to most of the dialogue, most of the conversations, most of the story, right? So it's good enough to keep your attention, but like I said, you're not going to be crying. But, you know, do you want every story to make you cry? Probably not. It services the gameplay, and that's all it really needed to do. The big thing in this game, and one of the selling points of this game, is the fact that every run you have a pet with you. This is an ink pet called Momo, who is absolutely adorable, and adds a layer to the combat where you're not just trying to enhance yourself, but you're also trying to enhance your pet alongside you, because as your stats grow, so does your pets, and you can lean more into your pet as well if you want to go for that build style. So just having that pet there basically gives you an entire new build path just based off that alone. The game boasts many different build paths that you can take on each run. So you can focus on light attack, you can focus on heavy attack, you can focus on pets, like I said. You got the crit statuses, so like stuff like bleed. You got the curses like exhaustion, which make your enemies deal less damage, that sort of thing. You can also focus on the skills themselves, and there is many different relics that you can use to enhance builds. It's not a case of like, if you go light attack focus, you're taking the same 2 relics each time. You're not guaranteed to get the same 2 relics each time, but you're not looking for the same 2 relics. You can have different relics to go for as well. You also get characters, which in this game acts as sort of the weapons in similar games, where you get a different combat options when you turn into them. They seem to be just skins for the main character because the dialogue didn't change at all. It was still the same character when dialogue popped up, but you're still playing as a different character, which can be a bit of a nitpick for some people. You know, you're like, oh, I'm playing as Violetta, but it's still Red speaking, who is obviously the main character. But each one of these characters has their own specialization. So Red's kind of like an all-out master of none, jack of all trades, that sort of thing. One of my favorite ones was a sort of dancer character who could throw her heavy attack, and when it came back to her, she got an enhanced light attack, which really worked really well. I got this upgrade where basically every, I think it was 9 light attacks, you would automatically throw your heavy attack. So you would lean into that light attack speed to try and get that out as much as possible, which was really nice. These characters lean into their own specializations. Obviously, there was one that was focused on pets, one that's focused on ink skills, that sort of thing. There is obviously some variety in each character. So, for example, if you wanted to lean into the heavy attack on any character, you can do that, but each character has their own specializations. So some will benefit more from certain styles. So if you want to play for a pet and you go into the character that focuses on ink skills, you're probably going to have a bit more of a difficult time than if you just played the character that focused on the pet gameplay. Not to say it's impossible though. It's certainly not impossible to do a pet build on any characters, it's just some lean more into others, and this is pretty standard. You know, you got some weapons in other games where they'll lean into like charged attacks or, you know, dashing or that sort of thing, or rapid attacking. So there'll definitely be some form of combat in this game that you will enjoy. It's almost guaranteed. I only got to play 4 of the characters, but there is, I think it was like 11. So there is plenty for you to try out, and you will eventually find a character that works for you. These characters also have skins that don't really change gameplay, but it's always nice to have unlockable cosmetics that aren't locked behind a paywall. So if you continue to grind this game, if you get like 50, 100 hours into it, you're going to have all these cosmetics and all the characters unlocked and that sort of thing. There is a large amount of meta progression with a skill tree, pet upgrades, and difficulty options as well. The skill tree is quite large, but it doesn't seem to have anything that really negatively impacts you. So by the time I got there the second time, I was just like, I don't think I need to care what these are really doing that much, and just unlock all of them. Which is probably just me trying to get back into a run pretty quickly instead of reading everything. But you could definitely build the skill tree into certain ways to work for whatever build you're planning to go into, if that is something you can want to do. But obviously you could do what I did and just unlock everything at level 1 and eventually level it all up to max, and then it doesn't really matter by the time you get to that point. But obviously in the earlier runs you probably want to have a bit more of a focus on the skill tree. But like I said, I was just rushing and just wanted to see more gameplay and that sort of thing, so I didn't get to check out all the skill tree. But it seems to be good stuff there. You know, you got the standard, like, you know, your attacks do more damage, you get more coins, you start with more coins, higher rarity stuff appears more frequently, you get a heal after every room, that sort of thing. So you got the standard skill tree stuff that you expect. The pet upgrades, they're pretty alright. You get more stat boosts for your pet in every run. It seems to take quite a lot to just get a single level. I only got mine to level 2.5 in about 3 hours. So that seems a little slow, but that might be the intention because obviously the pets provide a percentage stat. And percentage stats always tend to be pretty good, so it's a good thing to have, but yeah, it does level a little slow. There is also things to help you out. There's, for example, a lower difficulty option if you want to have an easier time. And there is 2 different auto-aim settings for those looking for an easier time. So for example, there's a basic one which seems to focus on the nearest enemy, but if you can point it away and move away and it will still listen to you. And then there's like a super auto aim, I think it was called, where basically even if you're moving, it will still automatically face an enemy for you as well. These settings are very useful, obviously, for somebody who doesn't like aiming too much. I did do a run with a character that focused more on range, and I found this auto aim actually pretty useful because I was having some difficulty hitting enemies because I just couldn't aim it properly or fast enough. So having this option on was actually really useful for that as well. So it's always good to have these settings available as well. The enemy variety is good. You got basic enemies that obviously just auto attack, that sort of thing. That's usually the first couple of enemies you run into, and then you got different ones, some that like jump into the air and then land on you, others that have like expanding AoEs, donut AoEs, that sort of thing. Very good enemy variety outside of bosses as well, and bosses variety is good as well. These fights are what you expect. I kind of compare these to like a raid boss in an MMO. So like if you play Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft or something, You got like straight line AoEs, dodging, donuts, AoEs on the ground, but he adds spawning in some of them as well. There was one boss, which was purely just a wave-based boss where you had to fight wave of enemies, and every time you did a wave, it took damage. So you never actually fought the boss, but each one of these enemies just got harder and harder, and you got very little healing in between, which I found quite fun to do, in my opinion. I can see myself playing this game for a lot longer to unlock more characters, try out new builds, that sort of thing. Finally do the last boss because I did not get a chance to do that yet, which is very unfortunate. But I would really want to see that. I've never been good at these games, but it always is a lot of fun. There is likely to be updates to this game. I seem to be on a beta build with some features missing. In the character menu, it says forms coming soon. So it seems to be some form of form upgrade that is in the full release that I just don't seem to have access to right now. There is some minor formatting issues as well, not spelling mistakes, but basically like when an apostrophe is used, it's a big space, that sort of thing. So nothing that makes it unreadable, but just something to keep in mind. Hopefully fixed on release, but I can only talk about the version of the game I got to play. The game does have a dog. It doesn't let you pet it. That's negative points. It does let you gamble with the dog. That's plus points. Keep that in mind. The game is a solid isometric combat roguelike, and I can recommend it to anybody who's played similar games before or is maybe interested in games like this as well. Do check it out if this is your sort of thing, because I'm definitely going to play a lot more of it. And like I said, the game is likely to receive more updates as well, because they've already announced a BlazBlue crossover, so we maybe see more stuff like that, more characters added. This thing with the characters, you can get more characters added in afterwards, so there's likely to be content for a significant amount of hours and then more added on later in. So yeah, this is definitely a game I will recommend, and definitely a game I will be playing more of. Guys, if you enjoyed this review, feel free to subscribe. There's going to be more reviews like this in the future, so do look out for them. If you had a chance to play this game yourself, do let me know how you feel about it, what you like, what you don't like, and I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.